all, Farmer Jesse here. So Hannah and I have either worked for a CSA farm or ran our own CSA for the last 10 years. And I have a few things that you should be thinking about going into a CSA next year. Maybe it's your first year, maybe it's your first year farming. Here are some key things that we've sort of learned over the years that really make the difference on the CSA. So let's do it. First, if you are not subscribed to this channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you are subscribed, awesome. Here's the thing. The CSA can be a really great way to get some money up front to start a farm or pay for your seeds or pay for your tools or whatever, right? There are a lot of nuances to actually running a CSA. In some ways, I think it's probably one of the harder ways to farm, because you have to know so many different vegetables, the harvest time on them, when they're ripe, when they're ready to pick, when they should be planted, how to get everything kind of lined up at the same time so that you're giving a solid basket or a solid box every single week. That's challenging. So I want to talk about a few different things here. A few different tips we have for how to really do it well, even when you don't have a lot of experience with it. Tip number one, storage crops are your savior. Doesn't have to be a ton of storage crops. It just has to be a few really good ones. So onions, potatoes, garlic, those are lifesavers. We give garlic every single week in our CSA. Potatoes, we give them as we need them. We give them as new potatoes early on in the spring. June can be kind of boring month here. Spring stuff's kind of going away. Your summer stuff's not quite in. So new potatoes can be really awesome for your June baskets or boxes, whatever you call them. Having either a source for potatoes, onions, and garlic, or growing your own. If you don't have garlic in the ground, get it in now. You still have time. It's November something. I would go ahead and get it in. Having those crops around means that when you're light on other stuff, and you will be in your first few seasons of doing a CSA, when you're light on other stuff, you can kind of fill in a little bit with maybe a little extra potatoes here, or maybe give an extra round of garlic. You can do garlic scapes in June, or we get them in June, maybe you get them in July, maybe you get them earlier. Here in Kentucky, we're June. So garlic scapes, that's a little flowering pigtail off the hardneck garlic. You can give green garlic early on in the spring, in April or May or whenever you start your CSA. Having those crops growing or having good access to those crops, I think is really critical for having a consistent basket. Tip number two, don't give too much. The temptation as a CSA grower is to give a lot of food. You want people to feel like if they're gonna give you all this money up front, that they get everything you can possibly grow, and you just wanna pack your baskets full to the rim. Here's the thing, people would rather get roughly the right amount per cost than get more and waste it. Customers, especially in their first 2 years, really don't like having any waste. They feel bad, they feel guilty. One way we've sort of circumvented this a little bit is just said, if you have anything that's gonna go to waste, bring it to us. We'll recycle it, we'll turn it back into food. Or let us know that you don't want it. If you don't like cilantro or if you don't like radishes, just let us know and we'll just switch something out. We'll keep those on the farm and no harm, no foul. It's good to have that communication. So don't give too much. Try and figure out what the balance is and ask people. This kind of comes to tip number three. Have great communication with your customers. Figure out what they want, and by talking to them, ask them how they liked this or that, or did they use this or did they use that. Fennel, for instance. You gotta see if they liked it, see if they enjoyed it, see if they've used it yet. Sometimes you'll get 2 weeks later and they'll be like, nah, it's kind of still sitting in my fridge. Give them a way to use items and then communicate. In the 10 Mothers Farm episode, Vera talked about how they want to interview their customers at the end of the season. I think that's an awesome idea, because communication is key with this, to figure out, it's about building a relationship. So you need to have a way that you can actively talk to your customers and figure out what they need. Not just kind of passively, not just here or there in a conversation, but actively asking them, making it a point, or having them fill out a survey, or something that's easy for them, but that gives you a lot of information and insight into what they want and what they don't want. Speaking of what they don't want, don't go too weird, unless that's your thing. Like you can have a really interesting CSA that can be a draw for your CSA, it can be kind of your niche. But generally speaking, 2 weeks of any one item that's off the beaten path, like I said, fennel, maybe radicchio, maybe mustard greens, I don't know. We kind of go 2 weeks with those crops. Generally speaking, if it's not your garlic or onions or something that people use almost every week, we almost go 2 weeks in a row of everything. So we don't want to give more than like 2 or 3 weeks of yellow squash in a row. Maybe we'll give it later on in the season again, but 2 or 3 weeks and then we cut it out. And the reason is people can really get overwhelmed with that stuff. They can have it in their fridge for weeks and it just builds up and they don't eat a lot of yellow squash, and maybe they use it for a couple weeks, they get really excited about it, and then they kind of get burned out on it. Same thing can kind of go for things like peppers and eggplant. Tomatoes is one that you can pretty much give every week. You know, some of these more, these crops that aren't always in their general repertoire of cooking, good to limit the amount of times that you give those to a customer. The thing that we've really always done, and that has had a great response from our customers, is sending out a newsletter with recipes. Another thing that we've added to that newsletter with recipes, and that's something that a lot of CSAs do, but something that we've added to that newsletter with recipes, we've also kind of offered ways to store their food. So we tell them what to do with their basil, or what not to do with it, or where to put their potatoes, where to put their lettuce, how to keep it longer. All of those things are really important because that's one of the things that reduces the amount of waste your customers have. So they get a recipe, they get maybe some news about the farm that builds the relationship, the communication part, the community part of community-supported agriculture. And then they also get some tips for how to use their food. A lot of the people that are interested in a CSA want to eat better, but they may not have that much cooking experience or fresh food experience. So it's good to give them that. Give them tips on how to preserve stuff. This is how you freeze broccoli. You blanch it, drain the water, put it in a freezer bag, you're good. Whatever. That's super helpful for a customer. Any way you can add value to your CSA is a great way to ensure that it will grow and that those customers will come back. I feel like I could do 1,000 of these tips. Here's one, I got a good one. Don't let your CSA just be an extra thing you tack on. In order to really make it effective for you, have it be something that is a focus of your farm, that's a focus of your energy, that you put yourself into it and that you really care about, and that you show your customer you really care about it. That you're going a little bit out of your way. There have been years for us where we didn't do that, and it reflects in our retention rate. It reflects in the general happiness of our customers. With the end of the season, if your customers are kind of like, how many weeks are left now? Asking in a way that, you know, they're kind of getting tired of it. Maybe that requires you to do a little bit of adjustment to figure out how to make them happier, how to keep their excitement about the CSA up. So that's just something to think about. You can adjust based on your customers, but you don't have to go crazy. In fact, you don't have to customize all your baskets. You can. That's totally an option now. There are programs like FarmEgo and Harvey and others that actually allow you to customize baskets, which is really cool. But your customers may not need that. They may just need that relationship. They need to know who you are and have a good relationship with you. But it totally depends on your market and a lot of other things that we can't really get into here. But I would love it if you all would get into it in the comment section. I have such awesome viewers of this channel. So many experienced farmers come and watch this and comment. So, and I don't have all the advice or all the tips, and I could probably go on for 2 hours about how to run a CSA, and maybe I'll do that at some point. But leave any of your thoughts below, any ideas you have, any disagreements you have with my CSA thoughts. I'm good with that. Otherwise, you all like this video. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye.